Welcome to Robert's Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. Week 9 of the NCAA is upon us. Week 8, it was 20-10. Win-loss, 13-17 against the spread, 18-12 on the over-under. Year-to-date, win-loss, 118-35. Against the spread, 72-79, and over-under, 79-72. Week 9, we have the 14th ranked NC State Wolfpack at 6-1 versus the 9th ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish at 6-1. The Wolfpack 4-0 in the ACC. Notre Dame 2-0 in the ACC. Notre Dame favored by 7.5. I have them winning. I have them covering the 7.5 and over on the 59.5. Next we have the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets at 4-2 versus the 6-1 Clemson Tigers. Clemson is 4-1 in the ACC. Their only loss was to Syracuse. Georgia Tech is 3-1 in the ACC, and their only loss was to Miami. Clemson is favored by 14.5. I have them winning, covering, and over on the 49.5. Next we have the 8th ranked Miami Hurricanes at 6-0 versus the North Carolina Tar Heels at 1-6. Hurricanes are 4-0 in the ACC. They are favored by 20.5 on the road. I have them winning, covering, and under on the 20.5. Next, we have Duke Blue Devils at 4-4 versus the 13th ranked Virginia Tech Hokies, 6-1. Virginia Tech is 2-1 in the ACC. They are favored by 15.5 at home. I have them winning, covering, and over on the 48. Next, we have Virginia Cavaliers at 5-2 versus the Pittsburgh Panthers at 3-5. Cavaliers are 2-1 in the ACC. Pittsburgh is favored at home. I'm giving the 3 points to Virginia, so I got Virginia on winning, plus the 3, covering, and under on the 50. Next, we have the 11th ranked Oklahoma State Cowboys at 6-1 versus the 22nd ranked West Virginia Mountaineers at 5-2. Both teams are 3-2 in the Big 12. Oklahoma State is favored by 7.5 on the road. I got them winning, covering, and under on the 74.5. Next, we have the 4th ranked TCU Horned Frogs at 7-0 versus the 25th ranked Iowa State Cyclones at 5-2. TCU is 4-10 in the Big 12, while Iowa is 3-1. TCU is favored by 6.5 on the road. I have the Horned Frogs winning, covering, and over on the 52. Next, we have the Texas Tech Red Raiders at 4-3 versus the 10th ranked Oklahoma Sooners at 6-1. Oklahoma is 3-1 in the Big 12. I have them winning, covering the 20.5, and under on the 74. Next, we have one of the bigger matchups of the weekend. We have the second-ranked, might be the biggest matchup of the weekend actually. The second-ranked Penn State Nittany Lions 7-0 versus the 6th-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes 6-1. Both teams are 4-0 in the Big 10. This might be the game. If Penn State wins, they will set themselves up for hopefully the Big Ten Championship in the playoffs. If Ohio State has any shot of making the Final Four playoff spot, this is a must-win. I think with one conference loss, at least, 2 losses, to Penn State and to Oklahoma, that would probably knock them out of the playoffs. Ohio State is favored by 6.5 at home. Given the 6.5 to Penn State, I got Penn State winning. Ohio State will cover the 6.5 and under on the 56.5. Next, we have the 5th ranked Washington Badgers 7-0 versus the Illinois Fighting Illini 2-5. Badgers are 4-0 in the Big 10, favored by 26 on the road. Easy win, cover, over on the 48.5. Next, we have the 3rd ranked Georgia Bulldogs 7-0 versus the Florida Gators 3-3. Georgia is 4-0 in the SEC. I have them winning, covering the 14.5 and over on the 45. Next, we have the Stanford Cardinals, 20th ranked, 5-2 versus the Oregon State Beavers, 1-6. Stanford is 4-1 in the Pac-12 this year. They're favored by 23 on the road. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 58.5. Next, we have the 5th ranked Washington State Cougars at 7-1 versus the Arizona Wildcats at 5-2. Washington State is 4-1 in the Pac-12. Arizona is 3-1 in the Pac-12. Washington State favored by 2.5. I got them winning, covering, and over on the 63.5. Next, we have the 21st ranked USC Trojans at 6-2 versus the Arizona State Wildcats at 4-3. Despite 3 losses, the Wildcats are still 3-1 in the Pac-12, while USC is 4-1 in the Pac-12. USC is favored by 2.5 on the road. I got them winning, covering, and under on the 57. Next, we have UCLA Bruins at 4-3 versus the 7th ranked Washington Huskies at 6-1. Washington is 3-1 in the Pac-12. The Huskies are favored by 17. I have the Huskies winning. I have the Bruins covering the 17 and over on the 62.5. Next, we have the Tulane Green Wave at 3-4 versus the 24th ranked Memphis Tigers at 3-1. Memphis is 3-1 in the American Conference. They're favored by 11 at home. I got them winning, covering, and under on the 66. Next, we have the Houston Cougars at 4-3 versus the 17th ranked University of Southern Florida Bulls, 7-0, 4-0 in the American. Southern Florida is favored by 10.5 at home. I got them winning, covering, and under on the 57.5. And last but not least, we have the Austin PV Governors at 5-3 versus the 18th ranked Central Florida Knights at 6-0. Central Florida is 4-0 in the American, while Austin PV is 4-1 in the Ohio Valley, which is the FCS conference. No line on this game since the FBS versus FCS. Straight up win, UCF Knights, University of Central Florida Knights winning. So that will wrap up week 9 of the NCAA football season preview. Stay tuned to Robert Sports Show for the NFL week 8. Check out Robert Sports Show MLB World Series 2017 preview. And also check out the MLB Radical Realignment, a topic I've seen online that I would throw my 2 cents in on. As always, thanks for watching Robert Sports Show. Just have a great day. Have a spiffy day. Robert Sports Show, your YouTube leader, sports channel.